It's time for Speaking of Speaking. Quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Thank you very much, Matt. Yes, and welcome to episode 20 of the Speaking of Speaking podcast. So glad you could join us today. As one of our regular features, one of the things we do, it's called I Can't Believe I Saw That on Social Media. And one of the things I saw today was from a fellow thought leader and coach who posted that I guess they had just received some type of a coaching call or transformation call from another coach who's fairly new in the coaching world, who mentioned their program and tried to sell this other coach, who's been in the coaching world for quite some time, tried to sell them a $10,000 coaching program. This is after only having a weekend, really, of training in the coaching world and a certificate that says that, yes, I am a coach. So it got me thinking about our topic for today. And even though we'll be talking about it from a speaking perspective, we'll be talking about what you need to know before you pursue paid speaking. It's the same in the coaching world as well. Before you pursue paid coaching, you need to think about, firstly, there's a starting base, and then there's the base. If you've been around the coaching world and you have some credibility and you have testimonials and you have regular clients, then you can start charging $10,000 for coaching. That totally makes sense. If you're at the starting gate, though, it's a little bit different. I thought I'd take it from a paid speaking perspective and share with you a few things. Number one, there is a lot of competition for those high-paying corporate gigs, and they typically go to people who are A-listers. These are people who have paid their dues, they've worked in the trenches in the speaking world or the coaching world, or maybe a bit of both, and they are ready for these high-paying corporate gigs. These are gigs, by the way, that pay anywhere from $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 up to several $100,000, depending on the type of corporate gig that it is. So there are speakers out there, for example, who are paid $100,000 or more per speaking engagement. But you don't start there. Firstly, you have to build your content, you have to build your website, you have to market and present yourself. It will be a huge determination as to whether or not you are even ready for some of those high-paying corporate speaking gigs. And how you are on stage. What's your performance like? How much experience do you bring to the platform? I know when I started speaking corporately and doing a lot of coaching and training and workshops, I was not very good. I'll be brutally honest and say I was not at a high-paying level. And that reflected in the prices that I charged. But now I can honestly say that I am worth between $5,000 and $10,000 per speaking engagement. But that means there are other people who are at a higher level than I am. And if you're at the starting gate, you are not at a $10,000 speaking level. So be advised of that. Here's another thing to keep in mind. The real paid speakers, they take this paid speaking thing seriously. Seriously. They aren't out there on weekends just making some extra coin. They are showcasing themselves, firstly, as an expert, and then they are presenting whatever their messaging is in an expert fashion. So just speaking off the cuff isn't going to cut it if you're looking for those paid speaking opportunities, those high-paying speaking opportunities especially. And I have a colleague, his name is Gare Maxwell. I want to get Gare on one of these podcasts because Gare is a former broadcaster, and Gare understands the broadcasting world much the same way I do. And when he started his coaching business and then his training business, he was not charging much money. But now he is able to charge more money, and that's partly because of his audience. He speaks to high-level management and CEOs, but that means every time Gare speaks, he is not speaking off the cuff. He is 100% ready to go. For every minute Gare speaks, he probably puts in 100 to 200 hours of planning, preparation, and practice. That's a lot. So think about where you're at. Think about the type of speaking you're currently doing. And if you want to up your A game, you have to start taking it seriously, which means you have to plan, prepare, and practice. You have to edit your content all the time. That's what big speakers are doing. That's what high-paid speakers are doing. They're constantly reworking their content. They are editing. They are having people in their events fill out evaluation forms so they can do that. So those are a number of things that you need to know if you want to be paid, you have to take it seriously, which means you can't just fly by the seat of your pants anymore. You have to dig in. You have to practice. You might even have to sacrifice some of the things you currently do. If you regularly play hockey, for example, in the winter season, and that takes up a few evenings a week, you might have to give that up so you can focus on your speaking. Think about it this way. If you are commanding $15,000 or more for a 45-minute keynote, you have to deliver the goods. You have to practice, you have to perfect it, or at least make it seem extremely natural, and then you need to know how to leave your audience wanting more and call them to action. So you have to take it very seriously. Third point I wanted to pass along on this podcast today on what you need to know before pursuing paid speaking is you need to test your content. You need to test your content, your performance, your jokes, and all the other things that you say before you go after those big venues or those high-paying corporate opportunities. Toastmasters, by the way, is a great platform for doing that. I host an event a couple of times a year called Be Bold from the Stage. That's also a great platform not only to sharpen your skills a little bit, but also to try out your material and get some feedback, especially your jokes. Sometimes humor isn't well received, depending on where that corporate gig could be. So you might have a perfect humorous bit you want to share with your audience, but if they're not ready for it, then it's going to fall flat. The other thing you could do, as I said, on top of taking a high-impact speaking program, such as my Be Bold from the Stage program, you can also hire an experienced coach like myself for one-on-one sessions where we work through everything from, how do you open your talk? How do you deliver your content? What are some of the stories that you weave in throughout your content and your messaging? And then how do you wrap it up? You're not just going to say, thank you very much, you've been a great audience. You're going to obviously have something you want to share with them that's going to give them the opportunity to find out more and take that next step. And you want to be able to get the feedback from whoever you are practicing in front of, whether it's a coach, whether it's colleagues and friends, whoever you're practicing in front of, whoever you're testing your material out in front of, you need to be able to get the feedback you need to make it even better. And by the way, I've learned over the recent years that when it comes to speaking, it's not about perfecting your talk. It's about making your talk real. It's about authenticity. It's about the human connection. If you can keep those things in mind as you're practicing, preparing, testing your content, your jokes, all of that stuff, you will be able to rock the stage when you are ready for a paid speaking gig. And finally, the last thing I wanted to share today, if you are looking at pursuing paid speaking, there is no set it and forget it marketing for speakers. For that matter, there's no set it and forget it marketing for most businesses in 2019. Marketing is ever evolving. What was considered acceptable for marketing 10, 15, 20 years ago is not necessarily the norm today. There are so many different vehicles in which you can market your material. Whether you're a paid speaker or a coach or a workshop presenter, there are many different ways to do it. You can do e-blasts. You can do social media. You can do posters. You can do flyers. You can still pick up the phone and call people. There are many different ways you can do that, not to mention conventional radio, television, newspapers, if you want to go that far, magazines. There are also other ways you can market your material through podcasting, like what I'm doing right now. So you need to make sure that whatever marketing you choose, not only does it suit you, but it suits the clients you're going after. So if you're going after high-paying clients, corporate speaking engagements, you need to be communicating where they are. There's a good chance they're not communicating to their employees through a platform such as Snapped, but you might find CEOs and high-level management on a platform like LinkedIn. So you should be doing LinkedIn videos and LinkedIn posts showcasing yourself as a professional. And by the way, if you need help with this, get a marketing coach. Marketing coaches will help you move forward. I know a great marketing coach. She's helped me. She's been on this podcast, actually, and we're now working together on a project. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But her name is Diana Lidstone, and Diana is the entrepreneur's GPS. Basically, she helps you with your marketing, and if you need course correction, that's what she's there to do, is to help point you in the right direction so that as you're navigating that marketing world where there are so many different messages from billboards to all sorts of things, that you're cutting through every single time. So there is no set it and forget it for marketing for speakers. It's something that is constantly evolving, and you have to constantly be out there getting in front of potential clients. That could lead to those paying corporate gigs. Here's what you need to know. There is a lot of competition for those high-paying corporate gigs. Is there a lot of speaking work out there? Absolutely. Is there room for you? Absolutely. The real paid speakers, remember, they take this seriously, and so should you if you want to be able to compete with them. Don't be afraid to test your content, test your performance, test your jokes. Do it in front of a live audience that isn't the corporate audience you're going to be presenting for. And then finally, with your marketing, there is no set it and forget it when it comes to marketing for speakers. It's ever evolving, and it's something that you'll need to be tweaking and getting in front of people all the time, regardless of what marketing vehicle you choose. I did mention that I have teamed together with Diana Lidstone. We've been doing a lot of work together for a few years now. She attends my events, I MC her events, but now we've decided to take it to a different level, and we've created a program that I think might be very beneficial to you. If you are looking for paid speaking, this might be just the thing for you. It's called Speak with Confidence and Grow Rich, Conquer Your Speaking Fears and Grow Your Business. We have 2 dates, May 10th in Kingston, May 31st in Ottawa. It's a full day. Here's what you'll learn. Firstly, you'll learn 9 mistakes that might be keeping you stuck. You know, those things that you're doing consistently that might be having your income stay exactly where it is, or your speaking stay exactly where it is. You'll also learn the 5 secrets to crushing your speaking fears. Speaking is one of those things that a lot of people are deathly afraid of. It's not the same as being afraid of death, but it is definitely a huge fear. So those 5 secrets will help you eliminate those speaking fears and help you rechannel that nervous energy. We'll also go over 3 outcomes you need to be an effective speaker on and off stage, because it's not just on stage you need to be effective, it's after your talk. It's when you're networking with people afterwards and shaking their hand. What are you doing? How are you capturing their attention and leading them into purchasing whether it's a program or your book or whatever it is. We'll also give you the step-by-step guide to turning your talk into clients as well as into cash, because ultimately when you're speaking, that's what you should be doing. Like I said with one of the points earlier, it's not just about speaking off the cuff or winging it. It's about having a plan to turn those clients into cash, and we'll show you how to do that. And so much more, by the way. So if the thought of speaking makes you sick to your stomach, but you know you have to do it, this is probably the perfect program for you. By the way, the price of this program for everything I mentioned and more, and there are a few bonuses as well, it's $597. And if you'd like more information on registration, by the way, we only have 20 spots for each date, and I believe we already have 6 taken up for both of those days. So we're down to, 14 spots. So flip me an email, ask Carl at carlspeaks.ca. I'll send you the registration link, and then you can get started. That's it for today, and what you need to know before you pursue paid speaking. I hope this has been very helpful as you embark on a fantastic world of speaking and presenting and getting paid to do so. Until next time, it's Carl Richards. Remember, get out there and own the platform.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter at CarlRichards72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.